Welcome to the Speaker MC Show. Yes, tonight is, who do you think you're talking to? We're going to talk about effective communication, or should I say ineffective communication, and how it affects your self-esteem and everything else. Excuse me. Tonight, we have some fabulous guests on our show. Yes, we have the one and only Miss Lisa Cummings, who is our travel agent personified. I'll introduce her later on in the show. And of course, we have another friend to the show, Mr. Chris Salem. He is a speaker and life business strategist. Yes. He's a speaker and life and business strategist. How did I fuck that up? I'm sorry. How did I screw that up? Whoops. Oh, I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a day and a half, okay? Anyway, welcome to the Speaker MC Show, and we're going to have a lot of fun here tonight. Who do you think you're talking to? Talking about effective or ineffective communication and the effects of that. Does any of this resonate with you? You know, when I first started this show, this is what prompted me to create this topic, because I had gone into this store and this gentleman, I shouldn't even call him a gentleman, because he was yelling at this other employee in such a manner that it was embarrassing. I felt embarrassed for the guy. And he was just all in his face, just like how you have this cartoon picture here. That's exactly how it was. And I said to myself, what could have prompted that? So we'll talk about issues like that. And ineffective communication. So this says, and that is why we lift on 3. How many times you say something and it's not understood by the other parties? I wonder why. Communication. Well, welcome to the Speaker MC Show. And here at the Speaker MC Show, we talk about how we relate to ourselves, how we relate to the environment, and how we relate to others. It's 60 minutes of candid conversations. No scripts. We don't believe in that. Total authenticity and flow. Yes, we're going to talk about topics that you wonder why, you know, things that make you go, yeah, and we're going to bring you some solutions as well. And if you stay towards the end of the show, you're going to get some gifts. That's right. We love to give gifts over here at the Speaker MC Show. Our intention is threefold. So our first intention is is for you, the audience, to empower and enlighten you about creating harmonious environments and just boosting your self-confidence. Yes, we're very big on that. And for our guests, to provide them with a platform and an opportunity to share their message. And of course, for everyone to have fun. Yes, we're all about the fun. So who do you think we're talking to? Effective communication about self-confidence. We're going to discuss what's the definition of communication. We're going to talk about the ways we suffer due to ineffective communication. You don't even realize it. And then provide some tips on some remedies, how we can do better and why we should do better. So here's some stats. And I took this from the Grossman Group blog. They spoke about 4 main problems that arrive with poor communication. 1, and this is dealing with an employee or a work environment for the most part. They say a lack of knowing leads to negativity. It makes that person just too afraid to ask. We're going to discuss that. And employee mistrust. So then you have absenteeism and low morale. How many of you have experienced that? And high turnover. I've been in a situation like that in a company where the morale was just below rock bottom. Yeah, no communication. You don't know what's going on. All you saw was, oh, he's no longer here. And then you have bad interpersonal relationships. Yes, that means people are now feeling negated, like they don't matter. And then they start pushing back. How many of you have been in environments like that? And what about the other fourth effect, the grapevine effect, where, yeah, everything is all about the gossip. Well, I heard it through the grapevine that that's no good for morale either. So that's some of the stats. And when you deal with personal relations, so we dealt with the how we relate to each other in the work environment. How do we relate to each other on a personal level? How many times do we begin the relationship, you know, that 9-day love? It's so hot and so juicy, and ooh, can't keep my hands off of them. The late night calls, all the smooches. Yeah. Can you relate to that? And then it goes sideways. And why do you think? The number 3 reason for breakup: communication. So we're going to talk about these topics here tonight, and I welcome you. So here are our guests. Are you excited? I'm excited to bring them to you. Yes, I'm excited to tell you about them. Well, first and foremost, and this was not intentional, it's just how the cards flowed. First and foremost is Mr. Christopher Salem. I whisper his name because he's some big thing, okay? His area of expertise is mindset. I'll tell you about his free offering, which is his gift. But Chris is an accomplished world-class speaker. He's a life and why do I keep messing that part up? I don't know, but he's a life and business strategist. He's an award-winning author, certified mindset expert, a radio host, a wellness advocate, partnering with entrepreneurs and corporate business leaders and sales professionals to have sustainable success. Yes, the next level by resolving the root cause. I love this guy because he goes deep. You know, when I say he goes deep, goes to the root cause to mindset barriers. Why do people do what they do? Yeah, it's not just the esoteric. What's the real reason? That's his area of expertise. He has a special passion for empowering people to take their business and their lives to another level by operating in the solution rather than the problem. Wouldn't you like to know how to do that? Chris shares from experience what has worked successfully for him through understanding the root cause behind the effects of limiting patterns in our business and personal lives. He is the originator of the term prospreneur. Yes, an individual whose health and wealth are in alignment in a way that leads to true prosperity. Chris, just say hello to our audience.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here again. Yay! Thanks, Marcia.
Thank you for being here, Chris. Thank you. Always a pleasure when you're around. Always a pleasure when you're in town. Woo woo! And did I say we have 2 guests? Yes. Our next guest is the incomparable Miss Lisa Cummings. Why? Because Lisa, now I'll tell you later. I'll keep you in suspense. Woo-hoo-hoo! Lisa's area of expertise is working with corporations and individuals to provide exclusive travel experience. And I'm going to create a testimony for Lisa when I come back. Why? I'll tell you now. I can't hold it. I'm going on my vacation and Lisa customized it for me. Yes. So I will give you the testimonial when I come back. I will give you the blow by blow by blow. Yes. And have you just like, oh, I wish I were there. Well, you need to connect with Lisa. Lisa Cummings has always had a passion for travel and decided to make her dream a reality. Travel agency. Yeah, I messed that up too. Travel agency offers a full service tourism, providing customized and concierge corporate, leisure, and luxury travel services. Lisa also provides travel consultation for her clients along with a wide range of travel benefits. Lisa, say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Marcia, for having me on.
Yes.
Really appreciate it.
So happy that you are here today. So happy that you are here. And in case you're wondering who's this crazy woman, well, that's me. That's me. My name is Marcia Chambers, aka SpeakerMC, and I'm a sexual wellness consultant. See, I told you it's been a day. My area of expertise is working with women who are lonely in their relationships. I help them to go from sexless to steamy, yes, in a week. That's right. I can do it for you too. My name, as I said, is SpeakerMC. And as a sexual wellness consultant, my message shares information to women about having better sex and intimacy so that they give themselves permission to be sensual, sexual, and begin to lead empowered lifestyles. And I got into this business because I noticed that people were just exchanging DNA and not asking the right questions. Yeah. So I decided, hey, we need to do something about that because they are subjecting the rest of us to all their dysfunctions. I produce this show, which is a SpeakerMC show all about relationship, and we explore how we relate to ourselves, to others, and to our environment. And I also host another show, well, a few shows. I host and I produce everything about female sexuality. S.W.E.L.L Happy Hour, S.W.E.L.L Playroom, The Bush is Swelling Show, and all three concentrate on shifting how we think about sex and sexuality. So that's me in a nutshell. And yeah, I'll have a gift for you too. So we won't talk about upcoming events. We're going to talk about the matter at hand. And I'm super, super excited because where is the big picture? Yeah. I want us all in the big picture. Can you guys see me? I feel like I'm just lonely out here today. What is going on? Anyway, hello, Lisa. Hello, Chris. Welcome to the show. Welcome.
It's great to be here.
Great to be here.
So we're talking about ineffective communication. And I said that we're going to talk about what exactly is communication. What is your definition of communication, Lisa?
Obviously, two people exchanging ideas with each other, suggestions, and hopefully they come to some sort of agreement at the end.
Okay. All right. I'll take that. And what is yours, Chris?
Well, it's the ability to articulate exactly what you want or desire from that person, but at the same time listening to what they also want and desire. And that could be through, obviously, communication through verbal, also through nonverbal communication. And so you have to look at both. Communication is powerful. It's more than just the verbal, the words itself. You have to look at the person, the body language. So if we get more in tune with that, that's effective communication to me. It's exchanging what we want and what we can give to others. Okay.
I agree with you and I agree with Lisa. And I am so more advocating the nonverbal because so many times people always say things that they really don't feel in here. And it just connotates in their body language, as you mentioned, Chris. You know, they'll say, yeah, hi, yeah, but they're leaning this way. Or, yeah, we're together, and they're moving away from that person. So, you know, yeah, I tend to watch people's actions more than I listen to their words. That's just how I've trained myself. But yes, communication is when you're delivering some kind of message to someone else, and the fact that they receive it. Now, that's where the effective communication comes in, I think. If you're delivering a message, so I may say, this is a red and silver pen. You may just see it as, okay, it's a pen. But if the other person receives what you're saying, then they'll probably say, yes, that is a red and silver pen. You know, repeat what you said to acknowledge that they heard what you meant for them to hear. That, I think, is effective communication. What's your stance on that?
Well, like I said, you know, effective communication is being very specific. You know, again, you can't assume that people are just going to assume what you said. You have to be very specific. Just like you said, you could say this is a red and silver pen, but I might just be hearing that this is just a pen, or I might see it differently. So we need to ask a lot of clarifying questions just to make sure that that person truly understood what was said and not assumed.
And you say ask questions. There's so many people. So okay, I'm using so a lot. Toastmasters would just ding me out the wazoo. I do a lot of work with women who tend to be shy about asking for what they really want. And guys will say, well, I know that's what you want. I can't read your mind, but they're scared to ask. Why do you think that is, Lisa?
Rejection.
Fear of rejection or fear of rejection?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to expand on that a little bit?
Well, I think also too, women could be stereotyped. It could be they feel probably that person may not understand exactly what their needs are. They don't want to complicate the situation, so they sort of like back off and kind of wait to see when it's the right moment. I think everybody's different in every situation, so I think it all depends on the two people and how they've actually entered their relationship and how they've actually, over time, how they communicate with each other. Because also too, we all come from different family cultures and background, and where someone culture can be more open and another person's culture can be more closed. So, you know, we all have to try to come to some sort of level of comfort and ease when it comes to trying to communicate with each other as well too. So,
okay, I like that. So, Mr. Root Cause, do you think that sometimes people are scared to have any kind of dialogue because it's how they've been conditioned, how they've been trained?
No, absolutely. I mean, you know, Lisa had talked about cultural, you know, things, you know, like, you know, in certain countries, this is how they do it. And that absolutely plays a role. But a lot of times it could tie back to, you know, how one was raised in limited mindset barriers, but it's very vague. Or they'll just go with what somebody assumes. And I'm not saying this is the case with everybody, but I see this with the majority of people. And it's not just women. I see this with men as well.
I was just going to say, it's not just women who suffer from that, because I've run into some brothers and, you know, well, brothers notwithstanding, but some men. And you'll ask, well, what do you want? You know, what is it? What? And they just can't articulate it because of that fear that Lisa mentioned. So they're scared that whatever it is that they say that they want, it's going to be rejected. And then that fear is either going to damage their ego or whatever it's damaging, but they just don't respond in kind because of that fear. That fear just debilitates them. So the communication is gone to pot, and now you're felt like, well, now the rejection is widespread because now the person who was asking the question also feels rejected, that, well, wasn't my question good enough? I mean, don't I deserve an answer? You know? So, yeah.
Well, and it can, you know, and it can make matters worse when both people have those limited mindset barriers or beliefs, because that's where the communication breaks down, because they don't know how to ask. And again, so it can go to both sides, men and women, or even if it's two women talking or two men talking, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter who the person is. It's what goes on up here first before until we have that relationship with ourselves, that we could communicate effectively and nurture ourselves specifically. It's very difficult to provide that to somebody else in terms of communication.
Okay. Now, going back to the cartoon character that I showed at the beginning, where that guy was just all in this other one's face, I actually witnessed that in a store. I went into this store, I forgot what I was buying, and there was this loud commotion, and, you know, nosy me, and I went to look, and there were two men. One was just literally in the other one's space, like this, like seriously like this. He was this close to him, and he was yelling. And I said, oh my gosh, you know, that's so rude. And how does the other guy feel? And the other guy, he was just so docile, like, you know, like, okay. I said, well, what could have caused that dynamic? And I know that there are a lot of variables that can go into that space, but just bear with me here. What do you think could have been the reason why that guy just stood there and took it like that? And what could be the reason why the other guy just fell? And I don't care what it is that the guy could have messed up or been late. It could have been a lot of dynamics, right? So one is in error and the other one is angry about him being in error and wants to express that. What could make him come off in that way? You know, with me, I say, well, he just didn't get none the night before, but that's not that's not this show.
But it's important. No.
It is. But what could have made him feel that the audacity of him speaking to another person, whether it's male or female, just speaking to another person in that manner, you know?
Well, I mean, just to, you know, if I could jump in here with the person, the guy that was yelling at the other guy. A lot of times when people have to react in anger to articulate their message or to communicate, there's something not going well inside of them. They're angry at themselves, or they're not happy with themselves, or they don't like themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the person on the other end has a choice. Are they either going to take it? So one, if that person that was taking it was doing it for a short period of time, that person might have been in a good place, just was willing to kind of listen to this individual to see if, you know, maybe, you know, that he could maybe get this out of himself and maybe he could adjust himself back to a normal person. Or that other person could be like, hey, I'm a pushover and I got my own set of issues, but I'm the type that is not going to yell back, but I'm going to take it. I've been conditioned to take this type of abuse because they've been conditioned that way. So it can go both ways with the person being silent. That's the recipient of that communication.
Lisa, you want to step in here?
Yeah, definitely. I see that point with Chris. But also too, looking, let's say that he's a manager, he's yelling at the other guy. He could probably come from a place from frustration as well. You know, he's told this guy over and over, probably 10 times, hey, you know, you need to clean the dish before you serve it to the customer or something. I'm just using that as an example.
Right.
And he just, you know, yelling out of frustration also as well. And you just happen to come in when he's like, you know, he just had enough with this guy. He just blew it. He just blew a fuse. And that was just one of the variables as well. Another option could be he just wants to show control. He has an ego boost. He just wants to show this guy, hey, you know what? I run the show. You better listen to what I have to say, and that's his thing. You know, and the other guy, obviously, you know what? He's like, well, you know what? I need this job. I'm just going to shut up. You know, so it's definitely a lot of things going on there. You just don't know which it is.
That's true. Yeah. And the guy that feels that, well, he has control here, maybe he doesn't have control at home.
Exactly.
You know, that's always a big flag, like, well, you don't have any control at home, so you want to come and throw it here.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the work environment. And I appreciate your input on that. What happens with relationships? Because even though that dynamic plays out at work, the same thing plays out at home. And it might not be a partner deciding that, you know, I'm pissed off about something and I'm just gonna do that. But it could be a breakdown in communication. And the breakdown can stem from something this minute. So how does all the lovey-dovey, because I know, okay, have you ever been in love?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've all been in love before. Oh, there you go. Okay, so we've all been in love before. And we know how it is. Oh, I can't get enough of that person. And oh my God, I can't wait to see you. And you're on the phone till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Like, oh my God, I gotta go to work. You know, that kind of thing. And you have everything in the world to talk about. Then all of a sudden, you're now committed to each other. You're seeing each other with more frequency and more regularity. And you can't find anything to talk about? Now all of a sudden the communication that used to be like this, it's starting to create that gap. And then once it starts to create that gap, then you have these misgivings and you have these crazy thoughts and just a whole whirlwind. Walk me through because they say communication is the third largest thing that breaks up a relationship. Marriage, committed relationship, whatever it is. Most couples who break up, the third biggest thing that they complain about, besides money, besides sex, is communication. So how does that breakdown occur? How does that gap start to formulate?
Well, I mean, I think that, people become complacent in a relationship. A relationship is like anything. If you're working at a job or in your own business, you're going to have goals to sustain that business or that revenue or your career. So you always have to be coming out of your comfort zone to raise the bar. You go to the gym to work out to maintain a healthy body. It requires work. A relationship is the same way, but I think what happens is that once people get to know each other and they've been around each other for a certain period of time, they become complacent and take it for granted. And they become self-absorbed in their own stuff. And that's where the communication breaks down. But in order to effectively communicate with other people, you have to be coming from a good place. And if you're not coming from a good place, you have to be able to admit that to the other person and figure out what you have to do to get into that place. But relationships require work, and that's where communication plays an important role in that process.
Okay, I get that. Yes, and I agree. Everything takes work, and relationship is nothing less than it takes work too. But considering that everything used to be so hot and juicy, and what I'm saying, conversations until the wee hours of the morning, and then to hear a woman or even a man say, I can't ask her that, or I can't ask him that. Why? You're exchanging DNA with this person and you're scared to ask them that question? Lisa, talk to me about that fear. How does that get built into that communication? Yeah, complacency, but how does it get so festered that now there's fear?
So it's kind of like, I can use myself as an example with my ex-husband. It came to a point where he would say to me, Lisa, you don't listen to me anymore. And yeah, he was right. I was tuning him out because I just felt like what he said did not jive with how I felt. But I did not want to cause an argument for the relationship. I just wanted to keep everything nice and clean and not get him upset, because I know once I say something that goes against what he believes in, it's going to cause an argument. So again, that's where the miscommunication comes in, because again, I have that fear of getting him upset, and I don't want to do that. So that's exactly how a marriage breaks down, when two people have disagreements with a certain idea or a subject, but your fear of not explaining exactly how you feel, because you know exactly how that person feels on the topic, and you're just trying to keep everything just as calm as possible. So that was my basic fear.
So
not
the
to get the
specifics
person
again.
Yeah, not to get the person riled up.
So then it festers into you not being heard.
Exactly.
And it festers into you don't feel that your opinion is respected, because
exactly.
what you're saying to me is that at some point in time, and I think that you're not the only person that has withstood that, at some point in time, that what he says
is always right, it's always correct.
That ego.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah,
yes.
So
Okay. Chris, male ego.
Yeah, I mean, well, I used to be one of those guys, so I can relate. I've come a long way. But any event, when two people meet, and they've been together, and you talked about the lovey-dovey stuff. I mean, that's all pheromones and chemistry, right?
Yes.
It's sexual chemistry. You're all caught up in the sexual part of the relationship. But see, what ends up happening is for a relationship to sustain and for that sexual chemistry to sustain, it requires communication. Because at that point, once that sexual, side of the beginning of the relationship begins to kind of wane, the only way that you're going to keep it going now is that you're going to have to reveal really who you are. And a lot of times people don't do that in the beginning of a relationship, maybe on some degree. And people don't know how to do that, or people don't know how to ask from the other person. And then what happens is there's a lot of assuming going on, a lot of speculation, and we take things the wrong way. Somebody might get upset at you when really you're not really mad at them. You might be upset about something that went on at work, but yet your boyfriend or girlfriend or your husband or wife thinks that you're angry at them. But nothing was said that why you were angry. It's just, again, that now a fight has started and the relationship begins to crumble. So again, the key is that a relationship requires that, that work in terms of nurturing that process with communication. It's something that you got to schedule time to talk, and not just to say words, but to really communicate and for that other person to listen. And then when it's their turn to talk, that you now, are in the listening mode. Now, I have a friend of mine who's happily married like myself, where they have a date night every Wednesday night. It's scheduled just like a work goal. They go out, and all they do is that they have fun, but they communicate. They talk about what's going on with them. They talk about what's going on with you. What can we do to make our relationship better? What can I do to be a better husband, a better wife? So these are the things that don't usually happen in a relationship, and why they end up going astray. And with men, because we become egotistical, if we feel that our needs are not being met, or we're not being heard, we begin to kind of, lose interest. We just kind of like stray away. And because because the woman begins in a way to stray away, and if that sexual component now is removed, this is when men begin to cheat. And for women, it's a longer process. They begin to kind of disengage themselves. They may not be unfaithful right away, but they begin to kind of seek that connection, that emotional connection with somebody else, even if it's there's no sexual activity involved. It's just talking to somebody. They want that. But the thing of the matter is that same thing will happen if those two get together in time, if they don't nurture the relationship. So it's a cycle. That's why you get a lot of times people that will just go from one person to another, because it's like that high. It's that dopamine that gets raised when we meet someone we're attracted to for a short period of time. And it's like a drug, and we don't even realize it. Relationships are a process. They require work. Communication is the key component to it.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. So based on what we've discussed here, I wanted us to kind of visit with some of the possible solutions to help these people who have kind of gone astray on the communication gap. What I suggest, and these are just two suggestions that I use with my clients. So what I suggest is invoking Tantra, and not, not Tantra from a sexual perspective. Tantra means like to connect. That's what Tan means, the connection. So if they're on that date night, and I know that we as women, and guys do it too, if there's so what's going on with you, honey? And he starts to explain, yes, even though it's a dialogue, sometimes we have to kind of just sit and actually listen. Sometimes we find that hard to do. And that's just invoking the tantric aspect of it. You sit, you listen, you pay attention to the eyes, focus totally on that person. Some people find that very hard to do. And especially in this day and age where, oh, my phone's ringing. Oh, wait, let me check my email. You know, that kind of thing. It's sad. So that's one suggestion that I pose to my clients. And the other thing is to find out what their love language is. I find that love language, when you know what really piques you and what really piques your partner, I think it makes the communication even easier. So for example, I love gift giving and I love acts of service. Those are my love languages, my top 2 out of 5. If my partner knows that, oh, let me just wash the dishes or do the laundry or, you know, some kind of something, and I'm just pulling those out of the air, then I'll come home and I'll say, oh, honey baby did the laundry. Oh, honey baby did this, you know, and it will just like, woo, you're going to get some tonight, that kind of thing. Or just a gift. And it doesn't have to be a material gift. It could be, baby, let's go for a walk. Or, you know, I cooked, or something that acknowledges appreciation. That's my love language. His love language might be touch. And if he likes to be caressed, I say, oh, I'll give him a massage. You know, hey, baby, just lay down and oil him up and give him a nice massage. He might love that. So if you know each other's love language, I think it makes the relationship work a little easier from that perspective. And as we mentioned before, that communication doesn't necessarily have to be verbal. It could be just a touch. It could be just a caress. So many people are having skin hunger. It's ridiculous. You know, just a hug. You come into the door. It doesn't have to be a kiss. It doesn't have to be sexual. Just a nice embrace. Like, oh, I thought about you. That feels so warm and inviting. So those are my tips. So what do you guys have to put in the table for tips to make the communication easier? Lisa?
Well, I like your suggestions. It's pretty good. Yeah, definitely getting to know the person's love language is definitely important. But also too, I think for me personally, I think finding out too what that person enjoys when you're together as a couple. For example, you know, what sort of things you like going, for example, you know, does your partner like going out to shows, going out to dinner? Does he like having an intimate dinner at home and instead, you know, those little things also help as well, you know, that kind of throwing a little surprise here and there. Sort of like, you know, spice things up. That definitely helps. But definitely, when you spend so much time with someone, you kind of also pick up on cues as well, without that person even telling you what they like, you know. And but you have to be really in tune with that person, and you could actually sense certain things. I know from experience certain things about my ex that I knew that he liked without him even telling me. And he knew the same thing about me because we were really much in tune with each other. So I think we all give cues to each other back and forth, love cues, and which definitely, you know, help the relationship. Besides, you know, what you had said earlier.
Okay. Thank you for that. Chris?
Well, I agree. You know, love language is very important, and I think it plays an important role in sustaining a relationship, a personal relationship. Like, you know, whether if you're married or if you're just with a boyfriend, girlfriend. But another thing that we have to look at, you know, is really when we really come from our authentic self. When I say authentic, that we truly articulate who we are and what we like and what we don't like, and what we can give and what we want to receive. We have the ability now to really set the bar of how we want this relationship to go, at least from our perspective. So I find that getting in tune with yourself first will allow you to better listen and be able to adapt what your partner is looking for. So meditation and journaling daily, I feel, play an important role in the communication process, first with yourself, so that way you know how to articulate what you're looking for and what you can give to the other person. And then it's the other person's responsibility to do the same. Now, that may not always be the case. You may be doing it, but they may not. But you're able to, at that point, be able to at least articulate what's important to you coming from your true self. And then from there to either one, listen, and to ask questions to figure out if they're in position to really open up. And they may or may not be. And then obviously it's your choice to decide if that relationship is one that you want to stay in or not stay in. Because again, you live once and you have to be happy.
Yes, yes. I'm glad you brought up about the authenticity. Not many people know what they want or even who they are. You hear people say all the time, I'm going to go find myself. I'm like, well, you're right here. I didn't know you were lost. But, mentally, they really don't know. They really don't know. And it's funny that you mentioned about journaling. So I just got into journaling. Meanwhile, when I was a kid, I used to hear kids say, yeah, I'm going to go write in my diary. That's journaling too. But I used to have this fear of writing in my diary because somebody's going to find my diary and they're going to know everything I know and everything I'm thinking. So I never did it, but now I'm at such peace. I just write and write and write, and I just leave the book all over the place. I don't care. You can look because it's going to be published one day. That's how I look at it. So I just write and write and write and write, write and write and write and write. Some days I don't write. And I heard that that's okay, because at one point I thought that you had to do this every day. I don't have that kind of time to be doing that shit every day. You know what I mean? So I do it when I can. But yeah, I've just started journaling. And I don't know if that speaks to other people who they may not have thought of journaling. I love meditating, but journaling is something totally, woo. Yeah, so I like that. So you're saying that that will have them tap into themselves more. When should they journal? Is there a specific?
Yeah, I always find that if you meditate early in the morning and then journal right after a meditation, write down whatever comes to mind. Don't overanalyze, don't overthink, don't assume, just write whatever comes to mind. I don't care if it's the craziest thing in the world that came out of your head on paper. Just write it down, because in time, we're able to look back at what we write down from our meditations from a third-party perspective. We're looking at ourselves like if we were somebody else. And we can begin to figure out, wow, that's who I really am when I assumed I was like this because everyone told me I was like this. And when you don't know who you are, how can you ask for the things that truly align with your authentic self? See, your subconscious mind knows your authentic self. It knows what it needs. The conscious mind is cluttered with what we think we are based upon how we grew up and what other people told us we are. And this is why we have this struggle of asking what we want, because we think we want this, but really we want that. And we don't know how to ask because there's this conflict going on with the conscious subconscious mindset. So this is where meditation and journaling play an important role to clean that clutter, to come from a better place, your true authentic self, to connect with your loved one.
I also heard it described by, I was in this coaching program, and this lady said, it doesn't matter, you're sitting there, whether you're meditating or you're just sitting down and you just have the book and you just feel like dumping. Just dump everything and just start writing, whether it makes sense or not. Just write, just continue to write, just write. Even if it's just lines, wiggly lines, just write and just dump. She said that is also cathartic. You just do that and your brain just kind of, thank you. Like you really took a dump, but
Literally. It's always a good feeling, right? So you got to have a sense of humor.
That's right. But yeah, those are it seems that everything always comes back to this writing for clarity, you know, to clear ourselves, so to speak. So yeah, a lot of people are so inhibited. They don't know what to ask for. They don't know who to ask. They don't know how to ask. Some people don't know how to receive. You know, they want to ask a lot of questions, and you're like, I don't want to know. I don't want to do.
But you just brought up something very important, because there are a lot of people that know how to give, especially women. Women are conditioned to give, but many times the way they were brought up based on limited beliefs is they don't know how to receive.
Yes.
You have to be a master giver and a master receiver and have that balance.
Absolutely.
Too many times it's too lopsided. There are a lot of men that like to receive but don't know how to give. So it goes opposite ways.
And that stems into your leadership too. That steps into your, because to be a leader, you got to know how to receive. And
Absolutely.
Part of that receiving emanates the trust that you have with your team or the person who's giving it to you. You know, that I trust what you're doing, and I trust that you're giving me something that's beneficial, you know. So yeah. Woo! Yes! Give and receive. Give and receive. I love it. Well, we're at that point, and on the SpeakerMC Show, we like to give our guests at least 5 minutes to just enlighten our audience as to who they are, where they're located, what their business is all about, and how can they connect with them. And I'll look for your slide in the meantime so that that gift is shown, because we talk about the gift. So who wants to go first? Yeah, we're no ladies first and all this kind of crap here. Who wants to go first? Just jump.
I'm a gentleman. In. I always give the ladies the first opportunity. I'm sorry, it's just who I am.
Lisa?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
You're waiting on me to find the slide?
Yeah.
Resume. Let me find your slide. Yes. Okay, so tell us, who is Lisa Cummings, travel agent, CEO of Travel 8 Agency? What do you do and how do you do it?
Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to give you a bit of my background. I actually was in corporate banking for over 20 years, and I would listen to everyone, you know, discuss their different vacation trips, and I would more or less live vicariously through their vacations, and then I would go do research online and look at the places they've been and try to see if I were to go there, how could I have done it better? And I've done that over time, and I kept saying to myself, wow, you know, what if I could just do that myself, you know, on an ongoing basis and help other people fulfill that dream? So when the opportunity came a year ago and I had the opportunity to leave my job, I decided, you know what, it's time for me to find what my true passion is. And my true passion, again, has always been travel. I love to travel. And also, well, not just to travel, but I also love as well to assist other people in their travel as well, and offering them just suggestions and trying to get the best deals. And, you know, take that stress, because I used to see everyone at my office is so stressed out. You know, it's like, I'm like, okay, aren't you supposed to be in vacation mode? You're not in vacation mode, you're in stress mode. You know, so I see myself as that person assisting getting that person in vacation mode a whole lot faster, you know, because coming to someone like me, I'm the specialist in that particular area. Wherever you want to travel, I'll do the research for you and take that extra stress. You know, you relax, just give me all the information you need, what exactly you're looking for, and I do all the rest for you. So that's kind of where I actually come in. And at first I thought, you know, everyone said that travel agents do not exist. And I thought the same thing as well. And it wasn't until I actually was booking travel last year. I was going to Peru, and I couldn't get my flights and my hotel reservation all linked together. everything was just going, crisscross, and I just couldn't connect the dots. And someone recommended a travel agent, and I said, wow, do they still exist? And my friend said, yeah, they do. So I got in touch with the person, and this guy did this to me so seamlessly. I was like, wow, that's amazing. And, the stress that I had was gone. He just took everything. I mean, he got me the transfers, set up the hotel. I mean, everything just was amazing. And I'm just so happy that I was able to connect with this particular travel agent. And it sort of like got stuck in my head that, that's probably the route that I want to go, to give someone else that same experience. And that's how my travel agency was actually created out of that need. I felt that there was a niche for it, and I said, you know what, that's where I want to go. It's my passion, it's my love, and that's what I want to do. I want to be in service to others with what I love to do, not something that I have to do. So that's how this actually came to be. And this evening with Marcia, I'm actually offering $50 off if you were to book air and travel with me, just to get you off, to the right footing, the right vacation.
Wow, that is awesome. Yes, that is simply awesome. And I'm here to testify that, yes, Lisa booked my travel, and I will let you know how it is. But so far, I am so pleased. Yes, I am on my way tomorrow. Sayonara. Won't see you until 2 weeks. I'm so happy. I'm so happy because I have put off a vacation for me personally. I've put it off for 3 years. Someone who's used to taking like 3-4 vacations per year. I said, nope, I'm going to concentrate on my work and concentrate on you guys. And I didn't do anything. I didn't go anywhere. I mean, I've gone on business trips, but nothing to say, well, detach, don't worry about nothing, and just take my journal and just journal and go on the beach and sip pina colada. Yeah, that's what I'll be doing. So you live vicariously through me, and Lisa helped me accomplish that. Yes, indeed. I am so happy to be going tomorrow. Yes. So Lisa, thank you so much for being on the show. I hope you had a good time being on the show. Yes. And now we're going to hear from Mr. Christopher Salem. Chris, the stage is all yours. I will find your slide and I will put it up so we can all see Mr. Christopher Salem. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Christopher Salem and your mindset and the root cause. I'm so psyched about that. Yes.
Well, this all goes back to my personal experience over 20 years ago when I had hit rock bottom in my business, my relationships, and my wellness. And it was at that time I was operating out of the state of anger. Every day I lived my life and went to work, it was out of anger, and I didn't know where it was coming from. So once I was able to fully accept responsibility and be aware that my life would not be better or would not turn full circle unless I did something about it, I came up with a process using a combination of a 12-step program and Eastern meditation or philosophy to heal myself. And in time was able to adopt better, more productive habits, disciplines, and behaviors that set me on a path for sustainable success in my business, personal life, that including my wellness and my relationships. And it's something that I keep accountable to this day, every day. And I'm constantly a work in progress. So I'm always doing something to nurture it so I do not become complacent. So what I do is I'm a life and business strategist, and I believe that life and business are as one. They are not separate. So whatever is going on at home or behind the scenes, you take into the business world. Things that are not going well in business, you take home to your personal life. So if we're able to address that with a life and business strategy to resolve the root cause to the problem rather than manage the problem, we can then find the solution through your true purpose to have sustainable success at the next level by operating in that flow. So I work with entrepreneurs, business leaders, sales professionals or any person in general that desires to come from the solution, to have balance with their wellness and their wealth principles to reach new heights they've never dreamed of. And so I speak to this as a professional speaker. I have a radio show called Sustainable Success that addresses this. And obviously the book, international best-selling book, Master Your Inner Critic, Resolve the Root Cause, Create Prosperity. And then finally, this concept was also featured in Jack Canfield's recent edition, Mastering the Art of Success. So mindset, having a new and productive mindset is the key to sustainability. You have to not manage the problem like most of us do, but get to the root cause so you can operate within the solution.
That is simply fabulous. Simply fabulous. So, the root cause. I just love him because he goes so deep to the root. And everybody goes to the shallow perspective of things, and he just says, nope, there has to be an underlying reason. So that's the reason why I just love this gentleman right here. So did you have some fun tonight, Chris?
Always had fun with you. Always. And I enjoyed listening to Lisa tonight. I really respected her views tonight, and gained a lot of great insight.
Yes. Thank you.
Chris.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
And you too, Marcia. I always love your stuff.
Well, thank you. We're at the close of the show, and I just wanted to let you guys know that as Speaker MC, I speak about sexual wellness. I speak about sexuality, self-confidence. Women are in relationships and they are so lonely because they're not heard, they're not appreciated, and they feel as if they don't have a voice or their voice doesn't matter. And that in effect affects their self-esteem and how they show up at home, how they show up at work, how they even show up in the bedroom, if they show up at all. So I help them to get from sexless to steamy. And I have a talk show that I co-host with the Bush Woman. I hope she's watching. And it's called The Bush is Swelling. And we address issues of sexuality and wellness. Wellness on all levels, head to toe. And you treat the inner so that the outer can shine. And that's basically our principle. And that's my principle also. My principle across the board is about women empowerment. My audience is women, and I talk to women because women, I think together we are so strong, but we just don't realize the power that we have, and we fight against each other on so many levels. So yeah, let's empower, let's embrace, and let's just love on each other. No, not that kind of love, but love on each other. Because it is so important. It's important for our communication. It's important for our self-esteem. It's important for our parenting, how we show up with our kids, how we show up at our office, and if we're not having sex, it just affects everything, because sex changes your mood, all that dopamine. Yeah, it's like you're having wine at dinner time. Yes, indeed. So more sex. Yes. And I know the guys can say, yeah, Marcia. Yes. Do that anytime. So it's been fun on this show tonight, and I thank my guests for being here. I usually like to close out the show. Let me show my screen. I prepared a nice little slide for us. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, yes. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can. Yeah, reach out and touch. So many times we just don't know what other people are going through. Just give them a hug, give them a slight touch, and it'll be better. Maya Angelou always says, people won't remember what you say, people won't remember what you did, but people will always remember how you made them feel. And I hope we made you feel warm and fuzzy tonight. And come back and join us next Our next show will be not on the 6th, but it will be on the 13th of November. So come and join us then. And I thank our guest tonight, Lisa Cummings from Travel Aid Agency. Thank you for being here, Lisa. And Chris Salem from The Root Cause. Yes! Thank you, Chris, for being here.
Thank you.
I so enjoyed our conversation tonight, and I hope you, audience, had a little fun and got a few key points from what we discussed tonight. So until next time, Speaker MC, make someone feel good today. Bye.
Bye-bye.